Hey everyone, welcome back to another weekly astrological forecast for this upcoming week of October 17th to October 23rd. And if you haven't been introduced to me yet, hi, I'm Danielle. I have a short video for you to watch if you're curious to learn a bit more about my unique approach to astrology. But for the purpose of this 10-minute video, I'm going to go ahead and hop right into the celestial weather and share with you the most significant dynamics that are changing this week and how to flow and co-create with these shifts taking place. So the first thing to note is that October 17th, it is the full moon. This next week is the full moon to third quarter phase. And just a little FYI about this lunar phase, there's a subtle energy that actually really supports us in community connection, receiving and exchanging energy with other people in our environment. Whereas last week, I shared it was more about asserting the self in the external environment, you kind of taking charge and getting things done. And now this phase is really great for the connection and the exchange of energy. Last week, I shared that there was going to be some pretty dynamic energy, maybe intense, with a lot of planetary oppositions taking place. And so I'm curious how this last week was for you, if that energy was alive. But this week, some of these oppositions that I talked about are going to be breaking. So starting with the most energetic dynamic that's alive right now, which is this full moon in Aries in alignment with Chiron. So not only is this a full moon that already contains some pretty intense energy, but the moon is in alignment with Chiron, the wounded healer in astrology, in the zodiac sign of Aries. And so this opposition started to build last week and will actually start to break this coming week. And what's been alive with this opposition is deep karmic wounds related to Aries expression. How it shows up specifically for you depends on where Chiron was in your natal chart. But for, there's a subtle energy thread that affects us all oriented around like a wounded sense of self. This opposition between Libra and Aries that's taking place, Sun and Libra, Moon and Chiron and Aries, is the sense of the other and the sense of the self. And, if we don't have a solid sense of self, if we don't respect ourselves, if we feel insecure or don't really have a strong identity, then that's absolutely going to affect how we show up in our relationships. If I value myself, then I'm going to require that back in my relationships, that the other person value me. But if I don't value myself, like maybe I'm valuing the other person more, and there can be this wounding in the energy that we give ourselves and we give other people, and a disconnect there. And so this last week, in terms of maybe how you've navigated your relationships, there may have been some wounding around your own sense of self, your own sensitivities around how you value yourself, how you see yourself, how you assert yourself or don't assert yourself. And this upcoming week is an invitation to heal those areas. So just kind of look at anything that was subtle, present, anything that kind of poked you or prodded you with what someone might have said that hurt your feelings, and like why that might have hurt your feelings, or if you're overexerting yourself, trying to prove yourself in some way. That's really an invitation with this opposition breaking to integrate that and to develop a stronger, more secure sense of who you are and asserting yourself in a healthy way in your environment and relationships. Another opposition that I introduced last week was Venus in Scorpio opposing Uranus in Taurus. And this opposition is officially breaking. But this dynamic was really interesting, actually, as Venus in Scorpio is this dynamic that can create this desire for emotional enmeshment with another person, this desire for intimacy and closeness, also possibly power dynamics, if in an unhealthy expression, like obsession maybe in an unhealthy expression, this need to connect with another. While Uranus in Taurus is very much revolutionizing our sense of individuality and independence from other people. This real part of our human experience that is actually separate from each other, you know, like you're a person having your own experience, I'm a person having my own experience, and how much do I let your experience influence my experience, and that relationship between. And if we allow other people's emotions to influence us too much, then we develop a lot of instability. We're not stable because our inner sense of independence depends on someone else's emotions, which we have no control over. So this breaking opposition, you know, I want to invite you to reflect. Was there any state where you let someone else's emotions dictate your own inner peace? And start to integrate this as this opposition breaks and say, wow, you know, I'm really in charge of my own inner peace. I am separate from that person. And actually, I can maintain my peace even if they don't have it. And how can I better assess my own independence from emotional enmeshment that might not be healthy? Because being able to maintain a strong sense of self, and two, a stable, secure inner world really allows us to approach our relationships from a healthy place. You know, if we're strong in who we are, if we're able to assert ourselves in a healthy way, and my emotional state isn't being strongly influenced by yours, then I am able to manage conflict or disagreements or any other challenges that we might face together from a more stable place. And so just kind of look at where that may have unfolded in your life this last week and see some areas that maybe you can improve on. Now, the last opposition I mentioned last week is actually still building in intensity. So it started last week and it's going to keep building in intensity and kind of carry over for the next couple weeks, and that is Mars opposing Pluto. Mars is in Cancer right now, and Pluto is on the Capricorn Aquarius cusp. And this energy really adds passion to our emotions. Maybe feeling really sensitive to our emotions, bigger emotions, also perhaps overwhelmed by our emotions. Those are all kind of correlated with Mars and Cancer. And the real dynamic opposing Pluto right now is revealing possibly a shadow side of how our own emotions control us. And that's something to look at in your own life starting this last week and continuing on. How do you let your emotions control you? You are not your emotions. You are the one experiencing your emotions. And they might be pretty alive right now in our lives, but that doesn't mean they have to stop you from achieving your goals or accomplishing these things that you want for your life or contributing to the roles that you have in society. And in fact, we don't drowning in our emotions doesn't really help anyone or anything. And so the balancing point here is to not let your emotions control you. And I really recommend emotional releasing exercises during this this aspect that's taking place over the next couple weeks. The beauty about Mars in Cancer is Mars is here to move. Mars is here to take action. And emotions want to move. Emotions want to be expressed. And so feel it to heal it. Find some healthy practices for you to release and move forward so your emotions aren't stuck. Try not to avoid emotions, pretend they're not there. That's a shadow expression of this dynamic. And just really know you're supported and releasing some emotional baggage right now. That's the beauty. That's co-creating with this Mars-Pluto opposition right now. And the final thing I want to mention about this time and energy influencing us from the cosmos are the solar flares that are taking place, the very strong solar flares that are producing the vibrant auroras that we're seeing everywhere. Maybe you've even seen them or heard about them. We're receiving a lot of charged particles from the sun, and this is absolutely here to transform and ignite our hearts. So if you're interested to learn more about this aspect of what's happening, then you can visit this video here and learn more about how to work with this very active, fiery energy coming from our sun right now. And if you're seeking more guidance, if you're like really feeling the energy and want personalized support to navigate and co-create the current seasons happening in your life, well, then I invite you to check out my offerings below. I do one-on-one private sessions, both for individuals and couples, so relationships, family, friends, romantic. And I also offer 20-minute recordings to just kind of give you a succinct synopsis of what's happening right now for you in the sky specifically and how to work with that. So, but regardless, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week full of growth and expansion, and I will see you next time.